A ghastly clinic was run by Dr. Lufti Dervishi, who alongside several doctors he had employed, benefited largely from conning people into giving away their organs. The clinic persuaded people in difficult social and financial situations to let them harvest their organs that would then be donated to those in need. The participants were promised a painless procedure and financial gain. What would happen in reality is that the doctors would harvest organs from the poor people they've managed to lure into participating in their schemes and leave them with insufficient care after the surgeries, and without paying them anything. The people were previously tricked into signing an agreement that their action was of humanitarian nature. The doctors then proceeded to sell the organs on the black market. This awful group of stray surgeons would literally collect a person's organ and leave them behind. The most prominent figure in the whole deal was Dr. Yusuf Sönmez, who was a notorious organ dealer in his own right. He made a fortune by stealing people's organs in Turkey and on Kosovo. Dr. Joseph Mengele was one of the most horrific byproducts of World War II, an SS physician in Auschwitz, the most terrifying of all Nazi labor camps. Mengele was known as the Angel of Death. His day job required him to heal the sick, but his method was simply sending those who were weak or ill in any way to the gas chamber. However, this fails to compare to his extracurricular activities. Mengele was devoted to collecting knowledge about the human body and genetics, but his methods were particularly brutal. He experimented on the prisoners, and in order for the experiments to be valid, he did so while the people were conscious. The prisoners would receive no anesthetics or aftercare. They endured horrific torture just to satisfy Mengele's curiosity about the way our body works, including having their organs cut out of their bodies. His favorite subjects were children, especially twins. He had a special interest in the brain, which led to him cutting open the skulls of many people while keeping them conscious in order to follow the brain activity. Fertility was another favorite, because of which he carried out extensive experiments on women. Not many survived to tell their stories, and Mengele himself was never brought to justice. Dr. Cecil Jacobson, working in Vienna, was known as one of the best fertility specialists. People took long journeys to come and see him. He was referred to by many of his colleagues as a miracle maker. Unfortunately, what turned out to be the source of his fertilizing miracles was his own sperm, and not his medical genius. Dr. Jacobson betrayed the trust of his patients by fertilizing their eggs with his own sperm, having told them, of course, that he was using the semen of the husband or donor chosen by the treated women. It was later revealed that Jacobson had impregnated about 50 women without them even knowing they were actually carrying their doctor's child. Jacobson was tried and found guilty. His defense stated that his only crime was being so committed to his patients and to helping them that he took all possible measures, some of them extraordinary. Horrified families he treated strongly disagree. John Bodkin Adams was a general practitioner who had a life full of killing and fraud. It is said that from 1946 to 1956, over 160 of his patients died suspiciously. Out of those who died, 132 of them left money or other valuables for him in their wills, which later were found to be fraudulent and written by Adams himself. To kill his patients, Adams often used prescription drugs or painkillers, which were given in excess, which, in the end, killed the patient. He was found suspicious and eventually taken to trial, after many noticed that a lot of his patients were dying quickly and at a fast pace. During the police investigation, Adams denied everything and tried to hide evidence, but his scheme was eventually brought to light, and he was brought to justice for the abuse of his position for murder, fraud, malpractice, as well as obstruction of justice. Dr. John Hall was a dentist who not only betrayed his patients' trust, but violated them in one of the most disgusting ways possible. On many occasions during his career, Dr. Hall would ask his assistants to leave him alone with the patient, mostly under the excuse that they should go fetch something completely irrelevant for the treatment of the mentioned patient. What Hall would then do is take out a syringe with a particular fluid that he claimed was a cleaning solution and ask the patient to swallow it. At one point, one of his assistants overheard him giving these strange instructions, became suspicious of the doctor's activities. What the assistant eventually found upon looking into the situation was quite shocking. The syringes Dr. Hall was using while he was alone with the patients were filled up with his own semen. Dr. Hall was reported, and after coming up with several ridiculous excuses, he finally pleaded guilty. To the outrage of his horrified patients, Hall only ended up serving a sentence of 4 months in prison. Romanian surgeon Naum Siomu is every sick person's worst nightmare. Dr. Siomu was operating on a man's penis during a troubled time in his life. He claims to have had many personal issues and was suffering from stress. During the surgery, Siomu made a mistake and accidentally cut the patient's urinary channel. In this moment, Siomu snapped and, enraged at his own mistake, reacted by cutting off the patient's penis and, in a fit of anger, continued to chop it into several smaller pieces before storming out of the room.